entertain them. Oh, there we go.
Okay, we're live.
Guys in the live chat, can you hear me? Neil is trying to figure out his microphone situation, but can you hear me? Because I thought like we could go live a little bit so I could at least talk to you guys while Neil figures out what the microphone situation is. Let me know if you can hear me in the live chat. Oh yeah, there we go. Biddy. So
Okay.
you guys can hear me, but Neil, say something so we can see if he could hear you. No?
Hello.
Neil?
I don't think you guys can hear me.
Sounds okay. So
Yeah,
I'm not hearing Neil, and I'm assuming none of you guys hear him either. Is that correct?
How about now?
I can hear both of you. Then what the hell? Why can't I hear him then? Hold on. I think I figured it out. Maybe it's a problem from my end. Maybe this was...
Maybe.
Because I just tested my headset and it was fine. Why is that? Is Google Chrome playing with me? Okay, say something. Okay, I'm gonna leave, come back, see if that's well works. Okay.
Sure.
I'm gonna leave and come back in.
Can you guys out there hear me?
Okay, I think I can hear you. Say something. Yep, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Fine. Great. So it's a Google Chrome issue. I went out, came back in. I can hear you now.
You know, it's funny because earlier when I was watching some YouTube stuff, YouTube was just acting like fucking shit. So anyway, yeah, I don't know what it was, but everything was like boggy and laggy and whatnot. So yeah, it could be something to do with YouTube or Chrome or who knows what.
But anyway, let's remember that if we have another issue like this again, leaving and coming back in maybe fixes it. It's kind of
that's what I tried to do first as well. Okay. Like I jumped out and came back in too, but
okay.
You know, now we're good. Now we're good.
Cool.
All right, so let me do my intro. Welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. Sorry about the technical issues. I have with me today my good friend Armin Navabi.
Yay.
Who actually, Armin and I actually live in the same area. So every time there's an Atheist Republic get together go on, I'm always there, and well, have been anyways for the last couple, and there will be more. Unfortunately, I was supposed to get together with Shelley Segal last weekend because she was supposed to be performing, but she had a throat infection or something and couldn't do it. And we just never got hooked up because my car battery died and I got stuck in Mission until I could get a new battery to get home. So anyways, so Armin, what I do here is I talk about deconversion stories, as you know. So why don't you take us back to the beginning of when you sort of started not believing and take us on that journey. Tell us all the ups and downs to you becoming an atheist activist today.
Okay, I've said this story like a million times, so I'm kind of like bored of telling it. But I'm gonna try to give you a. Is that what we're focusing on, the deconversion story?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to like do a I don't know, not like a rush job, but you know, just go over some of the highlights and
okay.
How it's affected you and you know,
but it's not a boring story. It's just I've heard myself say it a million times, so I'm sick of myself, you know, telling it. That's why. But it's not a boring story. I've been told it's not a boring story, so I don't know you. But so yeah, okay. So I was born in Iran, in Tehran, right? And I was born in a very liberal family, and you know, but so it's kind of, my upbringing was basically influenced by two competing ideologies: my school versus my parents, and around social circles that I grew up with, usually mostly the liberal side, won with the kids. I
Right.
was a bit weird and different, where my school won against my parents, right? And that was kind of
Oh,
bizarre.
wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I became like a weirdo at school because I became very religious. And in the schools that I went, I mean, this is, most of the,
Well,
yeah, go.
were the schools that you were going to, were they secular in nature or were they religious in nature?
Secular schools in Iran? There's no secular schools in
Are
Iran.
there such things? Oh,
No.
okay. See, I've never been there, so I have no idea.
Yeah. No, I mean, you learn religion is part of the curriculum from grade 1 elementary school.
Okay.
So basically, in Iran, you have 5 years of elementary school, then you have 3 years of what could be translated to guidance school, I guess, Rahnamai,
Sure.
and then you have 4 years of high school, right? So for the first 5 years, we have, you have this, what everyone else has: math, science, literature, all of that. But you also have religion, which we call dini, right? But when you go to guidance school, then stuff starts getting added to that. Then you have, I went to a special kind of guidance school because I passed the test that's supposed to be, you're supposed to be a genius if you pass it. I don't know if it's valid or not, but there's a special school for Tisushan, they call it. So we all of a sudden in my guidance school, we started learning high school level stuff instead of guidance school level stuff, right? So it was supposed to be a lot more advanced. But so they added, once we go into guidance school. By the way, that whole school fucked me up. So I'm not bragging, right? I shouldn't have gone to that school. That's where all my problems started. But so yeah, because it puts you on a lot of pressure to perform very well. But at the same time, I remember in elementary school, I was performing so well. And that's why also I got into this special school but I think partly this pressure kind of made me want to see if there are other things worth pursuing in life, and that's also one part of many other things that made me look into God and religion, right? But then they started adding Arabic and the Quran, right? So now you have 3 separate classes that is religion related, right? You have Dini,
Sure.
you have Quran, and you have Arabic. I mean, the whole point of learning Arabic, I mean, the language in Iran is not Arabic, right? And the reason why you're learning Arabic is part of is that because it's the language of God, right? The same reason why people used to learn Latin in Christian countries back in the day, not so much anymore. Yeah, but or Hebrew, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's actually a very effective way of, making liberal kids even hate religion even more, where they feel like they're wasting their time and they're learning skills that they're never gonna be useful. Like in around the areas where we grew up in and around families that we associated with, these are kids that wanted to grow up, wanted to learn and go get the university test, go to university and become doctors, engineers, and shit like that. And they knew that this is such a waste of their time, right? Like they were they were frustrated. You know how the government does such a poor job at trying to brainwash kids in Iran is by every single day, every day. Okay, well, not every day, 6 days a week, because in Iran you have 1 day off, 6 days to go to school. Fridays is off because that's prayer, but it's not like Saturday and Sunday, it's Fridays, right? So 6 days you go to school, and every single morning on the weekends, which is Friday, you stand in line, and before going to class, and you're outside, and you have to wait for this kid that they pick who has a beautiful voice or whatever, and knows the Quran, and they read the part of the Quran, and and you just listen to it, and then you go to class, right? So think about what that does to you for 12 years of having to go through that before you go to class, because you're outside, right? You're outside and it's either really cold or it's really hot, right? And you just want to get in. And this kid is speaking in Arabic, reading the Quran in Arabic.
Out of the heat or out of the cold.
Yeah, I mean, this kid is reading the Quran in Arabic. You have no fucking idea what he's saying, right? Because it's in Arabic, right? And you just want him to get it over with so you could go in. So for 12 years, you're waiting for the Quran reading to be finished so you could get the fuck inside, right? By the way, sorry, can I swear on this show? I mean, it's too late.
Yeah, look who you're talking to.
Right. Okay. People tell me
I swear like a trucker, for crying out loud.
People tell me I should stop swearing. I'm trying. I don't know if some of that people. But anyways,
recent studies say that swearing is a sign of intelligence, so you're okay, Ben.
Yeah, but recent study also says that YouTube doesn't like it and makes your videos
like I'll ever be monetized. Come on.
No, it's not about being monetized. It's about being suggested. I gave up on monetization. It's a big in algorithm showing up in people's feeds and stuff. That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I heard that,
like my friend David says, tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, another thing that turns kids off is that you go home and you have to start doing homework, right? But you get when parents understand when the cartoons start, they have to give you a break. Like, so school doesn't finish obviously when you go home. Now you're home, you have to study for next day and you have to do homework. But the understanding is when the cartoon starts, which is in the afternoon, that's when you get the break, right? So you go and you throw your books away and sit in front of a TV and you watch your 1 hour of cartoon. But while you're watching cartoon, like this famous, I remember there was this famous Japanese cartoon that was my favorite, Ikkyo-san. It translated from Japanese to Persian. It was everyone's favorite. I mean, I don't know everyone, but it was. But you're watching
definitely
it.
Yours.
You're watching it, and like right in the middle of it, they just cut the cartoon, and then the azan starts playing, which is the call to prayer for the afternoon prayers, right?
Sure.
And they're like, you just, it doesn't even, it doesn't even wait for obviously, well, you can't change the time of the azan, right? You have to just cut it into cartoon in half. And then as soon as the azan, even before the person starts saying Allahu Akbar, there's this clock's, TikTok sound goes like until the very second that the guy is supposed to say Allahu Akbar. But as soon as that TikTok sound comes up, your mom yells, Armin, back to homework. Like, you hear that, right? So what do you think? Like, mentally, how is that going to work on your brain? Like, azan means to break us up, back to homework, right? So this is how kids grow up. And then they're like, you know what? I fuck this. Like, they don't say it, but they just like, they hate it, right? And then become teenagers, right? And they become teenagers. They want to party. They want to listen to music. They want to dance. And they have to do all that covertly. They have to do it in secret. They can't, sometimes the police shows up and they ruin the party. When they go outside, they can't even hold boys and girls are holding hands, and the cops show up and they just let the hand go, right? And then when the cops go and they hold the hand again, sometimes they get arrested. I was arrested for being in a car with a girl, right? But that's a different story. Yeah. But I didn't know,
were you holding hands or touch?
Okay, the cops stopped me, right? I actually didn't know. Okay. I didn't know this happens to people. I heard people say stuff, but you never think it's going to happen to you until it actually happens to you. Because it's not like, they go up, the level of execution of these laws goes up and down, but based on, I don't know what's happening, who's deciding these behind the scenes. But yeah, you kind of have to be unlucky to get caught. But I was stopped and I was driving. I was stopped and the cop comes in. I don't know if it's technically a cop or a Basij. I don't know. But anyways, the guy says that, is this your sister? I said no. And then it says, is your cousin? I said no. Like, are you related in any way? And I was like, no. And he said, well, then you were arrested. Follow my car. And I'm like, fuck. So
Oh, fuck.
So I start following, like he drives to the police station, and I start following him. Obviously I have to, I'm trying not to lose him, because I feel like if I lose him and I can't follow him, then now I'm gonna get charged for like running away. So he's going in traffic and it's dark and it's in the night, and he's like driving, like he's like squeezing through every car, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose him, and now they're gonna think I ran away. So I'm really trying to like make sure I don't lose the cop.
Darn.
I'm not trying to lose the cop car. So I got all the way to the police station, and they take me to this room, and this guy starts like lecturing me, right? And this is my atheist phase, by the way. Like, this is after I became an atheist in Iran. And he just starts lecturing me, like, oh, this is not good. You need to be a good Muslim boy. Why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. I don't, like, he just starts like,
it's okay, I'm an atheist.
Actually, I don't know. Have you heard the story?
No. I've never heard this story.
Because that's what I technically said. Like, okay, I was
No way.
Okay, let me tell you what I said. So I was a teenager, and I was like rebellious, right? So
of course.
He keeps and he's this old dude telling me like about religious bullshit that I hate. I mean, I'm a new atheist. When you're recent atheist, you're extremely angry about being being lied to for most of your life. So you're like very passionate about how much you hate all of this, right? And he's telling you about, like, he's not talking to me about the law. He's talking to me about religion. So at some point I tell him, you know what? These stuff that you're telling me, they don't apply to me. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, the stuff that you're telling me is for Muslims. I'm not a Muslim anymore. And like, what do you mean you're not a Muslim anymore? I left the religion. I was a Muslim. I'm not a Muslim anymore. So everything you just said doesn't apply to me. And he just like, I think he took a few seconds. Like, it was so shocked. He was just look at me. Okay, this I was lucky with this guy, okay, because I really, really appreciate this guy. I mean, he was being a dick for a while with me, but all of a sudden he went from being this religious morality police guy that was telling me to be a better Muslim, to all of a sudden becoming someone that became extremely concerned about my safety. Okay. So he said, like, listen to me, little fuck. I could destroy your life right now with my pencil. Okay. I mean, he was holding a pen, actually, so I'm holding a pencil. But he was like, I could just destroy your life right now, right?
Oh,
so
I don't know about you. Okay.
And if you don't ever repeat that ever again to anybody, you have no idea. And my mom actually came to pick me up. And when my mom showed up, she actually took my mom somewhere private as well. And she told my mom that your son just told me something that I cannot repeat. But go talk to your son and make sure he never says that to anyone ever again, or else he's going to be in serious trouble, right? And actually, I think this guy might have saved my life, because before this guy, I was like very open. I was telling people like, yeah, religion is bullshit. Like, what the hell? Like, I was telling people, like, I was being very careless with what I was telling people, and I might have got into trouble, right? And I think this guy really scared the shit out of me. And I think I was more careful with how open I was about my atheism after that. And I think he might have saved my life. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could be killed for being an apostate, correct?
I mean, if you openly... So here's the thing. A lot of people in Iran are atheists, right? But they are... I mean, the ones that get in trouble are the ones that are not being careful, right? Like, a lot of people like make fake Twitter accounts, fake Facebook accounts, and go tell people, or you tell people in parties or private gatherings, but you don't go out and tell it to the whole fucking world, right? Like, that's like, obviously you're gonna get executed at some point if you keep doing that, right? Yeah. I mean, if the wrong person hears you saying that, then you're fucked. I mean, Sohail Arabi right now is in prison in Iran. Which, by the way, August 17th is the day that we're trying to focus on getting Sohail Arabi, because his case is not getting any attention. Sohail Arabi is in prison in Iran right now because he said something mean about Muhammad on Facebook. Okay? And
what a horrible crime.
It's been years right now. He's in prison. He's been on and off death row because of it, because of a Facebook post. Okay. And his case is not getting any attention. Like a lot of other cases that got attention, that should have got attention. These people weren't even on death row, right? And they got so much attention. And Sohail Arabi is a person that I don't know why his story is not getting attention. Like we recently brought this, got Humanist International to at least translate the stuff to English, because there was like for 2 years there's not even a single English article on this guy. Just recently he was beaten up in prison, and they took him to the hospital because he needed medical attention, but they didn't call the hospital before taking him there. So when they went to hospital, they said they have no bed for him, so they just took him back to prison without any medical attention after they beat him up, right? So his situation is so fucked up, and he's getting zero attention. So let me see, is it August 17th that we're doing? Yeah, August 17th is we're trying to get people to come out into the street with a sign saying "Free Sohail," and just use
this going on in town.
We want every city to do this. Like we're using Atheist Republic consulates as well for people to pick a location to go. Like every single city, like if people go just search for Atheist Republic consulates, they should find the consulates for their city and try to like go to the consulates. And there's like Alice has done such a great job. She has created event page for every single city that we have. London, Toronto, many cities in the US, Australia, so people just getting out and with signs saying "Free Sohail." Even if you can't join one of these events, just take a picture of yourself with "Free Sohail" on it, and then post it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram using the hashtag "Free Sohail." Make sure you actually spell Sohail correctly, or else the hashtag is not going to show up. Like, just look for our hashtag, and we'll retweet. Like once we start seeing people using the hashtag with their pictures, and add your message, mention your city, mention your message, put "Free Sohail." And we're going to look for them. And on Atheist Republic, we're going to retweet them. On Facebook, we're going to share them. We have 2 million followers on Facebook, right? We have 100K followers on Twitter. So we'll, on Instagram, I don't know how you can share. You could actually, on Instagram, you could share it as a story. So we'll find it. On Instagram, we're big as well. So we'll share it, like, to bring more attention to this. So because,
how can people make sure that you see the pictures they're putting up there?
Just use the hashtag and make sure your post is public. We'll find them.
Okay.
Yeah. Just Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Well, I'll be there on the 17th with you guys anyway. So
I'm going to be in London. So you have to take care of Vancouver consulate. Okay.
Well, me and Vikram will do it. We'll get it going on here.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. And we're hoping that after August 17th, if enough pictures and enough sounds comes from this, then we could go to reporters and be like, "Hey, did you see what people did on August 17th? Are you going to cover this? Are you not going to cover this?" Right? And then we're going to get, even if we could get 1 or 2 reporters to cover this, then the next phase is to go to like politicians and be like, "Hey, look at this news report. Can you put more pressure on Iran to do something?" United States can't put pressure on Iran anymore because they already maxed out their pressure, right? But maybe we could get because of the recent tension. I don't know what else, how much more pressure. So I think maybe Canada could put some pressure on Iran because of this, right? Maybe
I think Saudi Arabia is pissed off at us right now, aren't they?
Yeah, good. If Saudi Arabia is not pissed off at your country, then your country is not doing something right? You should be a badge of honor that Saudi Arabia is as pissed off.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, let me tell you, the laws in Iran is not the same for everybody, right? Like, for example, I remember that I was, my parents are liberal. My parents are too liberal, I think. I remember when I was, 14. No, not 14. I think 16. I don't know how old I was, but I was too young. And my dad came and told me that if you don't get laid by the next year, you're not my son. and he told me that.
Yeah. I like your dad.
And he told me, like, listen, if you need room, I could just take the entire family away. I'll leave you the keys. Do whatever you want. No, you have no excuses. He took me.
Can he be my dad too?
I remember, like, we were traveling in I don't know what that country was. This, I think it was Cyprus. But I think I was 12. I don't know how old I was, but I was way too young. And he took me to a strip club. Okay. He took me to a strip club, and I remember a stripper actually stole my wallet. I learned. Yeah.
How much money does a 12-year-old have, Armin?
I had no money in my wallet. I just had a picture of I had a picture of my mom there. So, but at the same time, it was good because I learned a lesson. Like, I learned, like, okay, like it trust wise, I learned a lesson as well, right? I remember coming out of there and my hands were shaking. And I was weird because my dad was right next to me. You know what I mean? You don't want to get a boner. You don't want to get a boner when you're next to your dad, right? Like, it's weird.
Nobody wants to have their first pornographic experience with their dad beside them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I mean, they were a bit too liberal. I think maybe that's kind of like rebellious nature became religious because my parents were extremely liberal. So maybe that was like the opposite. I don't know.
Back.
Yeah, I don't know. But actually, the main reason why I became religious at first was because of being consistent. Actually, with, I mean, I mean, if you ask everybody. Actually, let me tell before I tell you about why I became religious. I was telling you another story. Right, my parents, when we go to parties and stuff, there's people are dancing. There's illegal music playing. And there's alcohol being served and everything, and boys and girls are dancing and mixing with each other. It's normal for our social circles that we were in, right?
Of course, yeah.
And alcohol is like very expensive because it's illegal. Like, it's kind of like buying drugs here in illegal drugs in Canada, right? So it's available, but you have to know somebody, and they come in the middle of the night and they just give you stuff, and you have to pay a lot of money for it. And so mostly rich people get to buy alcohol, right? I mean, branded alcohol. Right? Other people just make their alcohol in their own basement, right? Sure. But when we're going back home from a party, sometimes there's this cop that just stops you. And I remember, my dad just, the cop stops you, and then they come and you roll the window down, and the cop says, like, I smell alcohol. Like, both my mom and dad were drinking. And my dad would just be like, grab my wallet. Mom would give him his wallet, and he would just grab some money out and he would just give the cop, and we would go home, right? I was like, easy peasy. Mm-hmm. That's what everybody does. But I didn't know that that's not what everybody does, because not everybody has the luxury of just paying the cops and go home, right? I realized this. I thought this is just...
Is that like some kind of privilege, or?
Yeah, it's a privilege of being, upper class and wealthy, I guess. When it was my dad, right? Gotcha. But our main's brother was arrested for drinking alcohol. We found that because she told us, and they made alcohol in their basement, right? They made their own alcohol. They can't go buy like actual, Western or whatever alcohol, right? So he was what? Yeah. So he was arrested, and he didn't have the option of just paying the cops. So he was lashed 80 times on his back, right? 80 times on his back. And they are actually very scientific about how to lash people, because our mate told us that when the way they lash them, they start from the top, and they don't stay in one area, because after a while, when you hit some area, they know that you can't feel it anymore. So they start in one area and they slowly go all the way down to the back of your legs, so that they make sure that you're feeling every single punishment. And these are scars that these are scars that your flesh is actually flying off of your back. So these are deep scars that are just staying with you for life. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But anyways, with regards to why I became religious, rewinding back to before even elementary school, before even going to school, I remember when I first learned about hell. I don't know why I knew about hell before I even went to school. I mean, who the hell would you like? Because I remember crying about it. I just don't remember how I figured it out. Did they tell us in kindergarten? Like, how did I like? Why did I know about hell before even going to elementary school? What sick
Maybe
fuck
you were
told
a
me
bad
about that?
kid and they kept threatening with you.
My parents wouldn't talk about hell to me. That's not the stuff that they would talk to me about. So I don't know who told me, because if it's not my parents, it must have been my kindergarten. But what kind of sick fuck would tell a little kid about hell? I don't know. But I knew about it.
I ask that all the time.
I knew about it. I was crying about it at home, and at that time, our aunt lived with us because she didn't have her own place. And I remember she coming to me and telling me why I'm crying, and I'm like, told her I'm afraid of going to hell, and she said that, hey, don't worry about it. You know, hell is, most people don't go to hell. Okay. Hell is just for the rapists, the murderers, and the people who steal. Don't worry about it. Like, most people are not going to hell. And I was like, okay, great. And then I went to school and I realized, no, she's wrong. It's actually the other way around. Most people are going to go to hell. In fact, it's very, very few people, assume people, which are people that are 100% pure. Those are the only people that could avoid hell completely. Most people have sinned a little bit, at least, and they have to pay for it.
I thought the Mormons were all good to go.
No, the Mormons
or a certain number of them, or is that JWs?
No, the Mormons are going to go to hell forever, according to Islam. So here's the thing: non-Muslims will go to hell forever, right? But Muslims also have to go to hell for a while because they have to pay for their sins, right? Yeah, but then you go to hell and you just get burned for a few thousand years, and then after that you go to heaven, right? But
with one hell of a suntan.
What?
So with one hell of a tan.
Yeah. That's good. But I mean, I don't even know how could you enjoy heaven after 1,000 years of torture. I mean, I think you're fucked in the head after that. Like, I think if the angel, like if you go to heaven and you're like, I think you're just like going like this, and an angel comes and like, hey, do you want to have sex? Or like, fuck away from me. Like, oh, I think you're gonna have memories of the angel. You're gonna have memories of the angels that were beating you in the face, because in Islam's hell, it's not demons that are torturing you. You have heaven angels and you have hell angels, right? So you just have angels that are smashing you in the face, and your face keeps getting rebelled, and then they smash you in the face again, right? And imagine if you experience that for 1,000 years, and now you're in heaven. If an angel comes to you, you're just gonna keep running. I mean, you're gonna be like traumatized, right? Yeah, but
savage.
And how could you like? And you saw how hell was, and now you're in heaven, and you're gonna remember every single detail. And people are still there, right? So how could you enjoy why are you supposed to enjoy sex with angels right now, and wine and milk and honey? Like, what's happening in hell. Like, how are you gonna wipe my memory? Like, while you're drinking wine and having sex with angels, people are screaming in pain. How are you going to be able to enjoy heaven? I don't understand that. Especially me knowing my parents are going to be there forever, apparently, right? Because my parents never prayed. My parents never fast, during Ramadan. My parents, the only time my parents saw inside of a mosque was if somebody died or if somebody was getting married. Right. My dad, every night he comes from work and he drinks a glass of whiskey in front of BBC, and then he goes to sleep. He's drinking alcohol. My mom drinks alcohol. Like, they're fucked. They're gonna go to hell and they're never gonna get out. Like, well, how am I supposed to enjoy heaven? I don't like. They say like, no. When you go, this is their excuse, by the way. When you go to heaven, you see God's wisdom. So you see how everything makes so sense that you want your parents to be burned. That you were like, oh, okay, now I see. Yeah, you see God's wisdom, and you see why they need to be burned, and it makes such logical sense for you once you see God's wisdom in your heaven, that you get to enjoy heaven while knowing your parents are buried. That's how it works apparently. I mean, okay, whatever. I mean,
that's fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah.
And by the way, I had no idea Hell's Angels were Muslims.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, so see, the demon version of Islam is called a jinn, right? But in Christianity, a lot of people think in Christianity the demons and Lucifer, they control hell, but that's not in the Bible. That's not in the Bible. Yeah, the devil is not torturing people in hell.
No, I think he's here. Apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more Dante's Inferno than the Bible, right? I think that's most of the imagery that Christians have of hell comes from Dante's Inferno, not from the.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but in Islam, it's very specific about exactly what's happening and who's doing what. Like the tortures are very specific. You have like molten lead poured down your throats, right? You have your skin burning, and then your skin comes back. And, I mean, I don't know who wrote this, but they were pretty sadistic. But the jinns are kind of like the jinns, which are the Islam's versions of demons. They're kind of like us humans, right? So in Islam, there's 3 types of conscious beings other than God. Humans, which are made out of dust. Angels that are made out of light. And jinns.
Feathers.
What?
I thought you were going to say made out of feathers, like a down pillow or something.
That's funny. And jinns are made out of a smokeless fire, right? But from these 3 conscious beings, only 2 of them have free will. Angels have no free will. They're kind of like robots, slaves of God, right? So basically, by the way, that basically means when you're having sex with angels in heaven, you're kind of having sex with like with a slave. They're sex slaves. Anyways, but so
do you get your own, or
you get
or do you have to share?
I don't know. Good question. I just know what the martyrs get, but I don't know how much everyone else gets.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, the jinns and the humans, they have free will, so they're accountable for their actions, right? So some jinns could go to heaven just like humans, and some jinn goes to hell just like humans, right? Apparently a higher percentage of jinns go to hell compared to humans, right? But
really,
yeah, they're demonic. I mean it's weird to fit. We didn't even know that some of them are really good. Apparently some of the first Muslims in the world were jinn. When Muhammad was reading the Quran, some jinns heard the Quran and they converted to Islam. So here's an interesting thing. We heard that, I watched a lot of Islamic YouTube videos, and I know there's good jinns and bad jinns, but then I was watching this preacher recently, and he was saying jinns just like human. They have Christian jinns, they have Muslim jinns, they have Jewish jinns, and they have atheist jinns. And I was like, how the fuck can you be an atheist jinn? Like, you're made out of magic. Like, what the like? I mean, how could you be like,
well, yeah,
I believe in science and I don't believe in supernatural. Your whole entire existence is supernatural. How could you be like, like, I don't know how that works. I don't know how you could be a jinn and be an atheist, but apparently there are jinns that are atheists, which is interesting. I mean, I wonder if they follow Atheist Republic. But hey, shout out to my jinn followers.
All our jinn buddies.
Anyways, what was I getting at? Oh, I was getting at hell and heaven, right? So
yeah.
So ma'asum means pure, 100% pure, no sin. And the people that are 100% ma'asum, right? They are the prophets. They are the 12 imams, according to Shia Muslims, not Sunni Muslims, right? Then who else? Mother Mary, Fatima, which is Muhammad's daughter. Is there anyone else that is 100% pure? So you have a shit ton of prophets, by the way, right? So like, there's a lot of them. How many prophets according to Islam? I think 113. How many prophets according to Islam are there? Like
Thanks,
Jesus
Google.
is a prophet. I think it was
Really? Oh yeah, that's right too.
Jesus is a prophet. I know the 5 main ones are Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, with Muhammad being the seal of the prophets, the last prophet. And I don't know why Adam is one. Adam is the first prophet, but in total, yeah.
Oh, you mean
Adam.
from the garden story? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Where is it? I don't know what the number is. It's not telling me. Anyways, there's a shit ton of prophets throughout history, right? Most of them, the 5 ones that I mentioned, the reason that there are 5 main prophets is because they had books. They're prophet with books, the broad revelation. So other prophets,
they were the ones that could read and write.
The other prophets, they just repeated the message of the other main prophets.
Okay.
And all of these prophets were Muslim. Like Jesus was Muslim, Moses was Muslim.
I thought Jesus was a Jew. Wasn't he like king of the Jews or something?
Well, ethnically or religious wise?
I thought just religiously he was a Jew.
Well, all of these religions are made up by Jewish people. No, so the understanding in Islam is Islam was there since Adam. Islam didn't come with Muhammad. Islam came with Adam. The first prophet was Muslim. Adam was a Muslim. Okay, all the other prophets were Muslim. Yeah, the Christianity, Judaism, all of these other religions is just deviation from the true message. Like Jesus, the message that Jesus had was Islam, but Christians like screwed it out, like they changed it into something else, right? And Moses was basically preaching Islam. Moses is mentioned like a shit ton in the Quran. Like I think no other prophet has been mentioned as much as Moses in the Quran. Like the story of Moses is repeated so many times. Like when the first time I read the Quran book cover to cover, every time we mentioned Moses again, I'm like, are you serious again? Like it's really obsessed with Moses' story. But anyway, so basically all the prophets were masoom, pure, completely sinless. Sinless doesn't mean they didn't make mistakes. Mistakes is not always a sin, right? So if you
it's not always a sin. Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, but they have never committed a sin, and according to Shia Muslims, the 12 Imams and a few other people, they're pure. There's another group of people that are completely pure, children. Okay, so this is the difference between Islam and Christianity when it comes to sin. This is one thing in Islam.
Children I know.
No, but
some of the little bastards are devious.
Right, but according to Islam, if you're a kid, you're an idiot, so you can't be responsible for your. I mean, you're not mature.
You're that kids, you're idiots.
Yeah, I mean, technically, kids are idiots. I mean, kids believe that a fat man can come through a chimney with toys and cover all the kids around the world in one night. So
not idiot, you're an idiot. But ignorant, we'll say, ignorant to
I don't trust kids. Okay, I just don't trust kids. I mean, if you believe a fat man can go through a chimney and cover all the planet in one night, then there's something seriously wrong.
That magic.
Yeah. I mean, okay, but they never, it's not like they can, but it's not like, okay, here's my explanation for how he did that. They just accept it, right? So they're not smart. Mm-hmm. They're not very smart. Let's be honest, okay? They're not very smart.
I agree.
Okay. So, but the idea is that kids are idiots, so they can't be held responsible for their actions. So they are pure until they hit the age of reason, right? Makes sense. I mean, I accept that. This is one thing Islam makes more sense than Christianity, because Christianity says you're born with sin, right? Islam is like
right, which is amazingly stupid.
Yeah, I mean, Islam is like, how the fuck can a baby be sinning? Like, it's a baby. Like, how could you?
Well, in Christianity, they carry the sins of their fathers for like fucking 7 or 10 generations or some shit like that. I think.
What?
They carry the sins of their fathers for like that's 7
bullshit,
generations.
Though. That's something that is bullshit, and Islam makes fun of Christianity for like, how could you be responsible for other people's sins, right? So Islam is there's something that Islam makes fun of Christianity, which makes sense, and there's something that Christianity make fun of Islam for, and those also make sense, right?
Sure.
They're very good at recognizing each other's bullshit. They're just not very good at recognizing their own bullshit, right?
Agreed.
Right. Another thing in Islam that makes more sense than Christianity when it comes to the concept of sin is that in Christianity, if I punch you in the face and then go to Jesus and say, like, Jesus, forgive me, I made a mistake, this is for, all sins are forgiven through Jesus, right? Even if you don't forgive me, right? It's just, but faith is all you need, right? So it's basically, there's just one type of sin. Sins against God, you ask forgiveness, you're all good. But in Islam, this makes a little bit more sense because there's two types of sins: sins against God and sins against man. So if I sin against another man, and by man they mean human, right? Don't blame me. This is how I learned.
Don't blame me. We're not going to blame you.
Yeah, okay.
You're free from this shit anyway. So.
Okay. But if you sin against another man, then you need that person's forgiveness before you could get God's forgiveness. So sins against God could be like missing your prayer, missing your fast, saying something offensive against the prophet or something like that. If you do that kind of shit, you don't need anyone else's forgiveness. You just need God's forgiveness. You could just do Tawbah, you ask for redemption, God, okay, fine. Sin's wiped out. But if I punch you in the face or steal money from you, I can't just go to God directly and be like, God, please forgive me. No, you actually have to go to that person and get that person's forgiveness.
You go apologize to him before you come to me, mister.
Exactly. All right. I mean, you're screwed if they die before you could get their forgiveness, because now you have to pay for that, right? In fact, there was the story of this guy that was so they wanted to show, this story was designed to show you how everybody has sin. Okay, like don't think like you could get away by thinking that you're pure, because no. So they told us a story about, I don't know if they just made up this story or just pulled it out or whatever, but this is the story that they told us, right? There was this very, very pious man, and he didn't even hurt a fly. He was very good, religious person, prayed and all that, prayed more than he needed to, and was kind to everybody. One time he wanted to buy something and he didn't have the money, and he borrowed one coin from somebody, and he made a note to pay him back. And then at some point he remembered that, I need to pay this guy back, and he went to the store to give him the coin, and he realized the person is dead, and his store was shut down, and he just put the coin under the door and he just slid the coin right in, thinking he's good. And then later that night, he had a dream that he's in hell, and that coin was made like hot, like molten hot, and he was put on his skin, right? For not paying that man back. And it's just one little coin, right? That was in my. So basically, it said like, what?
But he made the effort. Like,
yeah,
Doesn't he get some points for that?
I get. Well, the effort is. Here's the thing: effort is good for God. Sins you made against God, but again, if sins you made against another man, they have to forgive you. So if they don't forgive you for your effort, then you're not forgiven, right?
Well, if he looks around in hell and sees him in there, can he get forgiveness from
No, it's too late. You once you die, then your file is closed. You have two angels basically on your right, one on your right shoulder and one on your left shoulder, and they're basically both like writing shit down, right? One of them is writing all your sins, and the other one is writing your good deeds, right? But none of them are taking any notes until you hit the age of reason, right? So their sheets are completely white clean until before you hit the age of reason, right? And they basically file it.
What is the age of reason? Like, what do they consider to be the age of reason?
That's the key question. That's the key question that I was getting to, right? Because this is what they told us in Iran, and I know that some Muslims might be watching this and they were like, "That's not what they told us." Okay, I know. The age of reason is different. They tell you different things in different places. Some people don't tell you that it's not even a specific age. But what we were told in our school, and this is when other Muslims are like, "Oh, this is a corrupted version of Islam," whatever. Okay, What we were told in school is that the age of reason for girls is 9, for boys is 15. Okay. And
okay, why is it younger?
okay, so they bullshitted us over this. They told us in school, our teacher told us, because Islam thinks women are smarter, right? Oh, women's mature faster. This is like, look how
Well, that's true.
Well, no, that's not true. But I realized that was bullshit. And what they were telling what the real reason is, because you need to be mature to get married, right? You can't. So you have to. They pick the age of maturity the same as age of marriage. 9 for girls, 15 for boys. So that they have, because they're like, you can't get
9 for girls.
So they like, you can't get married if you're not mature. So what's the age of maturity? It has to also match the age of marriage. So they pick 9 for girls, right? So so what does this mean? That means that before you hit me, for me at least, right? Girls are screwed because 9 is way too early, right? By the way, people think like this is pro woman. This is very unfair, because you get to sin more if you start start counting earlier, right? But anyways, that means before age 15, whatever the fuck you do, it's not a sin. Okay, you could commit genocide at age 14. You could on the night before your 15th birthday, you could commit genocide. Make sure you're done before your 15th birthday, and you're good. Okay, so no sins, and also no good deeds. But here's the thing, though. I was very obsessed with trying to avoid going to hell, right? And this is what I'm talking about, logical consistency, because nobody seemed to give a shit about heaven or hell. And I could not understand why, right? Because we are told that, hey, most people are going to go to this place where they're going to be burned for thousands of years. And people were like, yeah, okay. And people were just like living their lives, and they were like, cooking food, going to parties, watching TV series, trying to get a raise, trying to buy a car, checking if the curtain color matches the furniture or not, or they should go return it. I was burning my arm. I burned my arm here. I burned myself here to see how much it hurts to burn. That's what I did. Okay? Because I was like, how is it that these people are not taking this seriously? Like, are you like, if I came and told you, like, hey, two years from now, there's going to be 5 people and they're going to beat the crap out of you for an hour. Okay? Unless you do 5 things before that 2 years. Right? And I could show you, like, okay, yeah, and you believe me. Wouldn't you make sure that you do those 5 things so that 2 people are not going to beat the crap out of you for an hour before that happens?
Hold on, only 2 people?
Oh, okay, 10 people. I don't know. The government is going to come and torture you for an hour if you don't do these 5 things. Will you not do those? You will make sure you do it.
Probably would. Yeah.
So you tell me why is it that these people, if I went and asked these people, hey, do you believe in hell? They were like, yeah. Like, and they're like, are you not afraid of you might go there? Like, no. Like, how are you so sure? Like, and you hear different answers. Like, some people, like, they're drinking alcohol, sex before marriage. Like, aren't you afraid of going to hell? And people are like, I don't think the creator of the universe cares about what I'm drinking. What the hell? Like, and like, or the creator of the universe cares about what I'm doing with my sex life. Are you like, they have these lines that they use, right? But I tell them, well, I mean, he has a book. This is Quran, right? Do you think these are his words? And they're like, yeah. Like, well, if you read it, he does care, right? He cares a lot. Have you read his book? And they're like, they haven't read it, or they don't even care. I mean,
I'm a big fan of the Urantia book.
Look at this. Look at this. This is Harry Potter, right? Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends in Iran, when I was a kid, read Harry Potter. Okay. Look how big the Harry Potter is. This is one of the books. Okay. Look how big Harry Potter is. Look how big the Quran is, right? So they think this is a book written by the creator of the universe, and they never bothered reading it. And they read all of this. Okay?
Yeah.
And
well, that one's much more interesting, I think.
Yeah, but if you think the creator of the universe is trying to tell you something, wouldn't you like want to read it? I mean, logically, wouldn't you want to be like, like, I mean, you say that because you know the creator of the universe doesn't say shit, right? Because there is no creator of the universe. But if you actually believe that the creator of the universe has something to tell you, wouldn't you want to know? If you actually believe that this is the direct words of the creator of the universe, the person that made you, you know, there's a place that you might end up burning, and there's the way of staying out of it is written in here. I mean, I couldn't, as a kid, I didn't get it. Like, as a kid, I wasn't like, how do these people don't care? Like, why do they not care? Like, why is it? Why are they so sure they're not going to end up in hell? Like, are they not going to try at least a little bit to stay away from it? They have other priorities in their life. Anyways, I take hell way too seriously. I mean, not way too seriously. Exactly as seriously as you should if it was real, if you believed in it, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But you
don't want to end up there. So,
no,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, when I burned myself, it hurt. Okay, I was like this literally sensitive. I mean, I lived in the I wasn't this manly little kid, you know. I was spoiled little brat. Okay, fire on my skin was more pain than I've ever knew anybody could experience. Okay. I didn't know.
You haven't had fluid extracted from your lung
I didn't
yet.
know humans are capable of experiencing that much pain, and that was just a tiny little bit. Okay, and then I tried to imagine that like all over your body for 10 minutes, for 1 year, for 1,000 years, for 10,000 years. Like,
you get used to it after a while.
No, they told us that God make sure you don't get used to it. They said that the tiniest sin will turn into a heat of 1,000 suns. Like a heat of 1,000 suns, and like a body cannot stand, like, will evaporate. Like, no, God will make sure that your body will stay resistant enough for it to be able to stay together, so that it feels the heat of 1,000 suns. Like, how much pain could somebody experience with the heat of 1,000 suns? I mean, I don't it's beyond imagination, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah. I have to make sure I stay the fuck out of here, right? Yeah, I mean, exactly. But so here's the thing. I told you that before age 15, there's no sin, correct?
Right. Well, for boys, yeah.
For boys.
No.
And also, suicide is a sin, right? In Christianity and in Islam, and almost in every other religion, I think. I'm not sure. But of course
it is. They had to make suicide a sin.
Why?
Otherwise, no, you wouldn't be able to give more money to the church.
Oh, okay.
Or mosque or synagogue or see, if you're dead, you can't give them any money.
Right.
So they had to make it a sin.
But there's a way that you could commit suicide and it's not a sin. You know?
Oh.
How? Think about what I said.
Saving someone else's life and sacrificing your own for someone else's?
No. Think about what I said. There's no sinning before age 15.
Oh, right. So if you die or commit suicide before 15.
I mean, nobody said that, but I just put 2 and 2 together. Like, they told me you can't sin before age 15. So if I commit suicide before age 15, then suicide is not a sin because there is no sin.
Right.
And yeah, here's another question. If you have no sins and you die, where do you go? Can't go to hell. There's only one place you could go, because if you have no sins and you die, the only place to go is you go to heaven.
Walmart. Oh.
Actually, that's very interesting because let me tell you. Okay, so I like wait. Okay, and so when I thought about it, like, okay, what why the fuck why are people not killing themselves? I wonder, like, why people are not just committing suicide before age 15 to make sure they go to heaven. As soon as you hit age 15, now now the gates of hell has opened to you. You have the potential of going to hell. Why would you even leave that possibility? I wanted to make sure that I got my logic right. So I went to a religious teacher and I asked him, listen, why wouldn't I just kill myself and make sure I go to heaven before I age 15? And he said, the reason why you didn't kill yourself is because if you go to heaven because you died as a child, you haven't earned heaven. So you go to the lowest part of heaven. Why don't you just become a good Muslim? Yeah. Well, I have a different example for that, but let me get to that. But they say like, if you become a good Muslim and you earn heaven, then you go to a higher part of it. Apparently, like, heaven has like different layers, and the best part of heaven is like for martyrs, the highest, the VIP part, and that's where Muhammad is, right? But the lowest part of heaven, the shittiest part of heaven, is for children, babies, and people that died because they didn't even get a chance to sin, right?
Right.
And he said, like, why didn't you just earn heaven so you could go to a better part of heaven? I thought, who the fuck cares which part of heaven I go to, right? I just don't want to go to hell. I thought I'll take a parking lot for eternity, as long as it's a guaranteed parking lot, and I just avoid burning. I don't want to burn. Okay, I just want to burn. Yeah. Give me the shittiest part of heaven. Okay, I don't care. So I jumped out the window in my school. I jumped out the window.
What?
Yeah, I broke both my legs. I broke my left arm. I fractured my back. I almost cut my spine.
Shit, dude.
Yeah, I almost cut my spine. I was in a wheelchair and in my bed for around 7 months. I missed 1 year of school. I saw my dad cry for the first time. I saw my mom came to the hospital. I remember her going like mad. She just collapsed on the ground right in front of me. It was the shittiest experience ever. The only reason why I didn't do it again, the only reason I didn't try it again, was because what I saw I did to my parents.
Wow.
So I felt very bad because I saw what hell I put them through, right? But honestly, if at that point I knew, if somebody told me that, dude, in the future you're going to turn into an atheist, I would have tried that suicide a million other times until I got it right, right? I think I underestimated how what it takes.
Awesome atheism is.
No, what it takes to actually kill a body, or I would have picked a higher floor. That was the highest floor in my school. But next time, if I would try it again, I would try a higher level, right? But
you're not going to do that.
No, but I would have done it if I knew I was going to turn into an atheist. What I am today was my greatest nightmare at that time. Okay. This is what I was worried about, because he was like, hey, well, you could just be a good Muslim. I'm like, yeah, but who can guarantee what kind of a person I'm going to become in the future? Right? Like, you don't know what's going to happen. No, nobody knows. I mean, nobody knows what kind of a person you're going to become.
You're the one making the decisions for yourself. So you're the one that actually holds the reins to whatever you do in the future.
Yeah, but at that time I was thinking I could get bad influence. It's not guaranteed. True. At that point I could be like, you know what? I could be a good Muslim. But I was like, but it's not guaranteed I'm going to be a good Muslim. True. Well, I want heaven guaranteed. I don't want heaven likely. I want heaven guaranteed. Why would I gamble? It seems like it's the dumbest gamble of all time, right? It's like, just because you're greedy about a higher place in heaven, you're opening the doors of gates, the gates of hell to yourself. Why would I do that? It's like playing a casino and investing. It's the most idiotic gamble of all time. You could get thousands of years of torture because you want to play this game. No, I was like, right. How is nobody else is doing this? I mean, even to this day, I think, given the premises that was offered, my logic is still sound. My conclusion is wrong, not because of my logic, So you have false premises, solid logic, you get a false conclusion. But the false conclusion is not because of the logic that was applied to the premises. The false conclusion is because of the shitty religious premises that I was working with. But given those premises, my logic is still pretty sound. I was doing the most logical thing, I still think, as an atheist, given those premises.
Right. That you were doing what you figured was the most logical thing.
No, not what I figured. What it is the most logical.
Belief.
It is objectively the most logical thing you would do, given the premises I had. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Plus the belief system you were stuck in at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the problem with religion, because a lot of people are like, oh, look at this good Muslim people, good Christian people. Yeah, because they're not taking the fundamentals of their religion. They're not taking it to its logical conclusion. Okay, that's why they're good people. Okay, if they were all taking the fundamentals of their religions to its logical conclusion, you know, we would be living in Christian and Islamic tyrannies right now everywhere, right? It's no thanks to their religion that they're good people. Like, the problem with the fundamentals of Christianity and Islam is the actual fundamentals. With shitty premises, you get dangerous and shitty conclusions. No matter how the more sound your logic is, the more dangerous it actually becomes, because you're working with something that is rotten to its core, right? Anyways, but okay, so I hit age 15, but I was like, okay, fuck. I'm stuck.
I'm screwed now.
I'm screwed. I had one get out of jail free card, and I didn't play it right, and I'm screwed. But I said, like, you know what? How hard can this be? Huh? Right? There's not much to do. Just pray 5 times a day. 3 actually with Shias. They cheat. They mix some of them together. You pray. You do your prayers. Okay. You fast during Ramadan, and you're nice. You don't hurt anybody, and it's that easy. It can't be that hard, right? But here's the problem. What you don't realize, what's difficult is that you're a teenager, and the hormones are kicking in more and more every year, right? And you start noticing how attracted you are to girls. And the problem with I mean, unless you're gay, then you're screwed even more, because you notice that.
Well, you're attracted. You end up being attracted to whoever you're attracted to.
Yeah. But I'll tell you why I think it is such a traumatic. If I was gay, it would be even more traumatic. But let me tell you, right? So you start noticing that you're attracted to girls, but the problem with Allah is that He's not just a tyrant of your actions, He's also a tyrant of your thoughts, right? So you're already sinning by just thinking of having the wrong thoughts, right? And imagine, how, I mean, you're trying to be a good Muslim, and you think like, oh, the creator of the universe. Like, think about how lucky I am, and how grateful do you have to be. You have an able body, you have eyes, you have hands, you have parents that are taking care of you. You have food on your table, you have shelter, you have a place to sleep. God has been so kind to you, and you are such a disgusting piece of shit. Look where your mind goes. Look what you're thinking. And the creator of the universe can just see all your disgusting thoughts, and He's so disappointed in you. Shame on me. And you ask for forgiveness. What?
How do they know He's disappointed in you? How do they know He's not like running into the washroom with a magazine?
I mean, okay, but you think these are dirty thoughts, and you are disappointed with yourself, and you're disgusted of who you are and what you think. And this is why I think if you're gay, then it's 1,000 times worse, because now not only
it's a double whammy in his eyes.
Yeah, because you just felt so disgusted of who you are and what you think, and you also know this is your whole life, right? Because if you're straight, at least one day I'm gonna marry, and I'm just gonna fuck as much as I want, and it's gonna be fine, right? but I just have to just you're gonna be like, you just have to wait for it, and but you're always just thinking about, you're a teenager, you're just thinking about things, and you're sitting and you're apologizing. But if you're gay, you're like, the fuck, this is my life, right? Like, there is no way out for me, right? This is I'm going to be this disgusting human being all my life, right? And you just think so little of yourself. Imagine if you're gay and you just hate yourself, right? You just hate who you are and hate and you think there's something wrong with you, and it's your fault. And
right.
So it's a psychological torture, I think. I don't know. Anyways,
I agree.
And especially the way my school was is somebody fucked up when it comes to that designing because my Shahid Asleep school in Shiraz, so boys and girls are separated, but the way you get to my school, you have to go through the girls' school is in our way, and every fucking morning the girls are trying to get in school, and you're going through these girls to get to your school. And I'm like trying to be a pious Muslim, like gaze down, look at me, I'm such a pious Muslim, right? So every morning you basically have to go through that struggle. Anyways, it's not so you're noticing that, oh shit, my sins are piling up, aren't they? Right? My sins are piling up, and it's not that easy. But worse than that, worse psychological trauma than that is my parents are going to go to hell because, okay, I'm going to try to, you know what? I'm just going to ask for forgiveness. One day I'm going to get married, and I'm just going to ask for forgiveness for all these bad thoughts, and it's just going to all be wiped out clean. Maybe you just be patient. You just have to be patient. So it's fine. But what about my parents? They're going to go to hell. And also, like, okay, so we watch like Western movies. Everybody watches Western movies in Iran. Hollywood movies, right? And everybody's first religion is Islam.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Their second religion is soccer, right? So everybody watches European, South American, their favorite South American team, Brazil, Argentina, or these Europeans. Everybody has everybody's watching soccer. But here's what nobody's worried about. All these their favorite celebrities, their favorite actors, their favorite singers, American singers, their favorite soccer player. My dad is watching BBC every night.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Canadian singers.
No, no. We thought Canadians just live in like igloos or something. Like, how they think like all the Arabs are in camels and living in tents. We thought all Canadians are living in igloos, or like it's just ice and all that.
Yeah, all Arabs are just like Bedouins.
Right. But but what was I saying? Oh yeah, so all these people are gonna go to hell. Like when I was watching like movies and stuff, like, oh, like, yeah, this actor, like he's gonna burn in hell forever. Like, and nobody seems to care. Nobody cares. All these actors, all these TV news anchors, all these soccer players, all these singers, they're all just going to burn forever. And we're just like clapping and cheering them, and they're our favorite. And nobody cares that, like, oh, these poor people are going to burn in hell forever. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me, right? To me, this seems like it's so unfair. Why my parents, my dad,
sadistic.
My dad's a heart surgeon. And I told my teacher in school, like, listen, my dad does free surgeries on poor people. He does free surgery. He does surgery, and some of these patients, they just took advantage of that. Like, so he does surgery, and after the surgery, they tell him they're poor, and because they know my dad forgives their when he realizes they're poor, he just forgives them. Just like, don't pay me. Like, they didn't say before, they say after, right? Because he was so kind that when people couldn't pay for their surgery, he just wouldn't charge them. So.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is my dad, but he drinks alcohol and doesn't pray. He's gonna go to hell. And my teacher was like, yeah, he's gonna go to hell. Of course he's gonna go to hell. He doesn't pray. I like, okay, what if I do I learned this is something fucked up about Shia Islam, and Sunnis are to hate this, and I think they're right to hate this, right? This is, they told us you could pray other people's missing prayers. right? So what I could do is I could pray their missing prayers and do fast for the days that they missed fasting, right? So but he said like, no, he was trying to show me that you're fucked, Armin, because look, he asked me how old my dad is, how old my mom is. Let's count how many prayers they miss. Let's count how many days of fasting they miss. And we did like, we're doing math on paper, and it was showing me how impossible it is for me to do all their prayers that they missed. I was trying to save my parents from hell, right? And then he also they're like, okay, then I can just hire the people to do these prayers and fast. And like, okay, let's say you have to pay each person this much. And he basically calculated how much money I need. He basically concluded that I have to become very rich to be able to pay people to do the missing fasts and missing prayers for my parents, or else, and while after they die, by the way, imagine how much trauma you're going through, because they're burning while you're trying to do all the prayers that they missed, and every day they're in hell and they're screaming, and you're trying to like go through all these prayers until you could get them out of hell. Like, this is like fucking scam. Anyways,
can you even do that?
I mean, that's what they told us they can do. You have to just hire people to do that, right? But again, this is something Sunnis don't agree with, and they think this is a scam, and they're right? Again, they recognize other people. They recognize other people. It's
all a scam.
Yeah, exactly. But I just felt like this cannot be fair, especially like Christians, Hindus, Jews. They're all gonna go to hell. Like, this is most of the freaking planet. Like, I couldn't understand that. How could that be fair? So what I did, I went to the library. I picked up a book called The History of Religions, right? It was a translation of a Russian book. And what I was trying to figure out is to see if these other religions were maybe kind of like Islam. You know what I mean? Maybe they're Islam light, and maybe because they're Islam light, they're not gonna go to hell because they're technically Muslim, right? But then when I started reading the history of religion, it started from like cavemen and went to Egypt and stuff like that. The more I was reading that book, the more I was like, this all seems made up, right? This early religions, at least, it seemed made up. And then the later religions just seem to be just picking some stuff from older religions and changing it a bit based on the political needs and mixing it with their own local stories, and some things from their local stories just starts mixing into the religion. Some things, the gods seem to change. This god seems to be a mix of those two gods. And I'm like, wait a minute. What if my religion is made up? Right? And then I thought, wait, why did I never even ask myself that? And then I tried to remember, when did I accepted this religion? Because did I just accept it because it was like, when was the point where I like, oh, okay, now I see what like, hey, I just assumed all of this is true. I just assumed this is all real. I never even questioned whether I'm being told the truth. But then I thought, like, no, I'm being stupid because think about it. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, right? Like, I'm claiming what I was thinking seemed insane, because what I was thinking was, I am realizing something that nobody that I know of has realized. Like, am I really that arrogant to say something like that? Right? Oh, Neil, do you hear me? Are you frozen? Guys, can you hear me in the live chat? Because I don't hear Neil. Am I good still? Or is it just Neil that is frozen? Do somebody in the live chat say if I'm frozen or not? Here, I'm going to type myself. Yeah, loud and clear, Armin. We can hear you, Armin. Okay, great. So I'm good. I'm going to continue. Neil, join back in when you can. Oh, Neil just completely got cut out. We hear you, Armin. We hear you. Okay, good. By the way, I see your live chat a little bit later than, because, yeah, anyways. Oh, Neil's back. Neil? Should I just continue the story or should I wait for Neil? Keep talking, listening. Okay. And Biddy is saying keep talking. Neil, I see you. Never mind.
All right.
All right. I hear you. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'm back.
So I was saying it seemed insane. It seemed extremely arrogant for me to think that I have realized something that nobody that I know of have figured out. Like, think about how arrogant I must be to be able to say something like that. Like, it seems like I'm in the Matrix and I'm basically saying, like, I have discovered that I live in the Matrix and they've just lied to me about the whole nature of the universe, and about everything. And I've been free to the and all these people are just blind and just all believe something, and I figured it out. I like that's so. I like Armin. You're being extremely arrogant. There's probably something wrong with you. All these smart people, like these people are doctors, professors, university educated. All of these people believe in God and Islam and all of that, and you think that you just studied a little bit of history. And you think this is all just a con, and you're so smart that you figured out it's a lie. Like, no, there must be something to it that I'm just not seeing, right? There must be something to it that I'm just not seeing. So I talked to like two of my friends, and I told them about why I think it's all this made up, and they were convinced by me. Okay, so they got convinced.
Awesome.
And I was like, okay, maybe I'm not that. Maybe there's something to all this. Maybe I'm not an idiot, right? Because I was like, between the two scenarios of me being the only one that figured this out and everybody else is conned, and the scenario that maybe I'm just not seeing things straight, the more likely scenario is the second one, right? Because how likely it is that I just figured out something that everybody else is blind to.
Right.
It's very unlikely. So I like the more likely scenario is this there's something wrong with my thinking. But then when I talked to my friends and they were convinced by what I said, I like, well, we can't all be fucked in the head, right? Like just the first, I mean, these are two of the smartest kids I hang out with the smart kids in the class, right? Because we have study groups and stuff, right? Like
always good.
So, and like they're smart. Maybe there's something fucked with my head, but just two people that I picked, two of my close friends that I talked to, and they convinced they can't be fucked up, and they can't be just randomly also fucked up in the same way I'm fucked up in the head. So I went online, and I made an online community for Iranian atheists to see if there's more of us, right? And then so many people started joining, and I was like, holy shit, there's so many of us that think like this. I didn't know there's other people like me. And then I made a more global version of that, and to see if there are people in other places that think the same way. I made this on Orkut, by the way, and I named that community Atheist Republic, right? And that was basically my attempt to see if there are other people that think like this out there, right?
That was you started that in what, like 2010 or something like that? 2011?
No, 2011 when we incorporated it as a nonprofit company. This was back in Iran, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it started as an online community way before. I think maybe 2003, 2002, 4. I don't know exactly.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Let's say 2003. I'm guessing, right?
So that's like pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter, pre-YouTube.
Yeah, this was pre-Facebook. But I started this community just to see if we can find other people that think like us, right? It was very selfish reason. Like I just felt very lonely. And now it turned into the world's largest community of atheists worldwide with more than 2 million followers. And growing.
That's awesome.
Growing by around 10,000 a week.
Dial up. No, Biddy probably wasn't dial up in 2003. I think we'd passed dial up by then.
Yeah, no, I think it was on this place that it was pre-Facebook. I remember it was called Orkut, and it was social media. Yeah, it was very popular in Iran. It was very popular in Brazil, and it was owned by Google, and was very popular, and I think Google didn't pay enough attention to it. They could have become bigger than Facebook when it comes to social media, but they completely ignored Orkut, and and when Facebook came, everybody migrated to Facebook so much that Google eventually shut down.
We were all on MySpace before that.
Yeah, well, I mean, North America was MySpace, but Brazil and Iran was Orkut, right?
Yeah,
but
I remember Orkut.
Yeah, you really? I didn't know that people said yeah, but yeah, that was where we were.
Yeah. But I knew a shit ton of computer nerds from all over the place, so yeah, I was familiar with it. I never tried it or went on it or anything, but I knew what it was.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, that's my deconversion. Is that what it's called? Deconversion story?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I call this whole series, is deconversion stories.
You know, one movie that had an impact on me was The Truman Show.
Oh yeah.
That movie had an impact on me. That movie made me feel like
how did it?
Because I feel
you mean the whole being lied to and then being aware of it?
Because afterwards? I mean, I was the whole reality was different from what we understood. Like the whole like we were living in a different world. Like think about it. Like we were living in everything. The whole structure of the universe came crashing down on my head. Right? Like it seemed like, and everybody was telling a lie. So I just feel like you're waking up from a lie. It feels like you're just plugging out of the Matrix. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, well, someone in the chat was saying that I didn't even barely get a word in edgewise. That's because I usually leave the chatting to my guests to be able to tell the story, and I just pop in with the odd wisecrack here and there. So that's pretty much how it works here. But it's all about them and their stories, and so it doesn't really matter if I get a word in edgewise. I usually do at the beginning for sure, and then at the end, but and pop in here and there. So It's all good, man. But it's all for the people that I invite onto the show to tell their stories.
Just another thing that had an impact on me was the Miller experiment. Do you know about the Miller experiment?
That rings a bell, but I'm not remembering details.
So in Iran they teach you about evolution, no problem, right? Like it's part of the school course, right? They think, oh, that's just God's way of doing things, right?
Sure.
But when we were learning about evolution, like, oh, okay, God, this is how God made animals and plants and stuff, right? But then you go like, obviously, but you need God's hand to have the first living thing, the first cell at least, right? And then we learned about the primordial soup theory, and we didn't know if it's 100% true.
Not called that, but okay.
What?
Yeah.
What is it called?
It's not called that. Abiogenesis.
What is that not what
primordial soup theory?
Yeah.
It's like a can of Campbell's primordial soup.
Wait, is that not what it's called?
There's actually a meme like that. Well, they used to refer to it as primordial soup.
That's what it would told us in
technically
school,
that's abiogenesis is what the whole
primordial soup has its own Wikipedia page. Okay, so some people use it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So they told us about that, and I was like, okay, wait, so there could be an explanation for where this first cell came from, right? And they're like, okay, but we can't get organic material. I felt like maybe the essence of life is in like organic material versus non-organic material, right? Like you can't just get organic material from non-organic material. That's where God comes in. And then the day that I learned about the Miller experiment, I'm like, okay, fuck it, I give up. Probably everything. I'm not even gonna try looking anymore. There's probably a natural explanation for everything, even if we don't know it. You can't convince me that there's. How could you prove to me that just because we don't know something, there isn't a natural explanation for everything?
That's right.
Because the Miller experiment showed us, like, look, the guy showed, like, when tried to create like the conditions.
Oh, you're talking about that's right from the 50s, right? When they did that in the lab.
What year was it? So this guy Miller,
late 50s or early 60s or something.
Miller experiment. We learned about this in school. This guy, so Miller-Urey experiment. When the year it was, but anyways, he basically 1952. Yeah, you're right. So he basically created the conditions that the Earth was in the lab, and he showed that you could get, in those conditions, possible to get organic material from non-organic material.
Right.
I was like, yeah,
as long as
okay.
you had the correct ingredients to make that happen, like minerals and water, electricity, stuff like that.
When they were telling us in class, I was like looking around at my classmates to see if anybody was like realizing what this means. Like I was like, I had my jaw open. I was like, what? And I was looking at people like, they were just like taking notes. Nobody was having that. I had a like, crisis moment at that point, right? When I was in biology class, and I was like, I want to ask him, do you realize what this means? And nobody was like, I was like a weirdo in a biology class, but to me that was just the final nail in the coffin. I was like, fuck it, everything could be explained by nature, and it's interesting because I became an atheist. I didn't know Dawkins, I didn't know Sagan, I didn't know any of these atheists. I just looked at history, and then I was like, that gave me the doubt, and then biology sealed the deal, right? I became an atheist because of the material that was available in the Islamic Republic of Iran in library and in school material was enough for me to become 100% atheist.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
And you got to think, dude, before Islam kicked in hard, the Arabic world invented shit like algebra and stuff like that, right? Like these guys came up with mathematics and no one else.
That was after. That was after Islam.
Are you sure?
Mm.
I thought it was pre the Islamic Revolution.
The Golden
Age. Whatever
they
call it.
Well, no. Islamic Revolution or Islamic Empire? You're talking about revolution. When you say Islamic Revolution, I'm thinking 1979 Iran.
Yeah. You're right. That's more.
I mean, almost everything in history happened before 1979. That was just like that was just 4 years before I was born. But no, but are you talking about it before Islam became a thing itself?
Yeah.
No, that was after.
It was pre-Islam that they did all that stuff, that all the sciences and
before
mathematics.
Islam, Arabs were just like nomads in, the desert. They had nothing. They didn't even have a single building. They just had cubes maybe in the desert, but they didn't have an empire. I mean, actually, there's some new historical evidence which is very interesting, that kind of suggests that. But I'm not going to go into that because some people think like this sounds like conspiracy theory and stuff. But the understanding, the common understanding. Okay, so never mind. Let me just tell you.
Do I need tinfoil or?
I mean, this is different from other conspiracy theories because it's not random bloggers and YouTubers saying it. It's German scholars saying it, like scholars that are taken seriously by other scholars, right? So it's not like
there's a couple people.
But it's so radical. It's so radical that when you tell it to people, it sounds like a conspiracy, like just a crazy conspiracy theory. But when you actually see who's saying it, then you take it more seriously, right? But anyways, I mean. What I was trying to get at is that the golden age of Islam, they call it the golden age of Islam. I call it the golden age of Arabs because they went through a golden age not because of Islam. They went through a golden age in spite of Islam. Okay.
Right.
But
okay.
I think
that makes more sense.
I call it the golden age of Arabs, but what other people call the golden age of Islam happened during the Abbasid dynasty. So this is way after Prophet Muhammad. You've already went through the Rashidun. You already had the first dynasty, which was Umayyad dynasty, and this was the second Islamic dynasty, and the Islamic Empire was at its greatest strength at this point. I mean, it's what you expect to happen when you have a rich empire. Almost every empire, when they grow so much and they become wealthy, they start noticing science, poetry, and philosophy, right? That's what they start doing. This is what empires do when they become very rich. They start spending money on stuff other than war, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Even the Mongols started doing that at some point. The Mongols, which were the most obsessed the empire in the world with destruction, it seemed like they couldn't get over destroying people. They have no other empire has burned more books and destroyed more buildings than the Mongols. Even they, at some point, like, hey, maybe we should build a little bit, right? Maybe we should.
Maybe we need a base of
Maybe we should start building something and write some poetry. Maybe philosophy. At some point, even they started becoming interested, right? But I mean, if the Mongols become interested in, that, then every empire.
Somebody in the chat wants to know what kind of music you listened to before becoming an atheist and then after.
I mean, before and after. I don't know if my music changed because of my atheism.
I was kind of gonna say that probably
Yeah.
isn't really an issue. Your music was your musical tastes were your musical tastes, regardless of whether you were a believer or not.
Yeah,
and that would be for me too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to much music. And my music taste cannot be categorized because, like, if you look at like the songs that I add to my library, they're so all over the place that it can't. I only know that I just know I hate country. But other than that,
I'm with you there.
Other
Except
than
for
that,
a few things like
no,
what's his name?
Not a few things. No, not a few things.
Johnny Cash. I love Johnny Cash.
No. But other than country, my taste is all over the place, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I do enjoy music that makes you think. Music with hidden messages that you have to decipher. Music that has this historical significance, that if you know what the story behind the music, you will also learn something about the history of the people at a certain time, right? So that kind of music is very, very interesting to me. Revolution songs from times of war, songs from time of revolution, and then you hear a song, you hear the lyrics, and like, whoa, what did they say that? And you have to go Wikipedia everything and figure out where the song came from and why were they saying this thing. And then so you go through the rabbit hole and you realize that, oh my God, you're spending hours of learning about the people that you didn't even know exist before hearing this song. And now you're looking at books about it. Like, should I add this to my book list now? I want to learn, why did I not know about these people? Now I have to learn everything about them. So songs that get you like that kind of songs is interesting to me. Yeah.
Shit. Speaking of books, I can't remember. I've been adding books to my audiobook collection. And I mean, I have your book in hardcover, but I don't know if I have it in audiobook. Let me find out. Come on, man, you got to admit that Cash's version of 9 Inch Nails' "Hurt" is really good.
I don't know. I have to check. Hold on 1 second.
You have to check it out. Like, what's his name from 9 Inch Nails? Trent Reznor even said, "Okay, you know what? Johnny owns this song now," because he did it so much better, right? He hurt myself today.
Is this this? No. Oh yeah.
Why There Is No God by Armin Navabi, right there on my Audible playlist.
Yay!
I just haven't hit it yet. That's all.
Yeah.
Next time I see you, remind me, man. I'm gonna bring my book. You're gonna throw your I was gonna say John Henry, but we'll throw your Armin Navabi signature right in my.
This is my. Wait, why are you seeing a mirror image of everything?
Because on Google Hangouts, when we see it, it's backwards. But I'm looking at you, and it looks normal to me.
Oh, okay.
But you're the one seeing the backwards. Hey, wait, whoa! Here, let's do the whole mirror image thing right here.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's great. Thank you. I'm glad did you like the book? Was it okay?
Fuck yeah! When I read it, it was great, dude.
Yeah.
Mind you, it only took me like I think 4.5 hours to read, so that was it.
I think I spent more time trying to take out fluff from the book to make it as short as possible than writing it. Like I went through it so many times. They're like, how can I make this more concise and simple and to the point? And because I wanted to be like,
and it is.
I wanted to make sure there's, it's just a most simple way of getting all the information out there, like simple, short, so for somebody to read it. Yeah. So you think,
and suddenly this turned into an infomercial for Armin's book.
You know what I don't like? People leave reviews like, you know,
That's okay.
Okay, see, let me tell you what I don't like. Some people, I mean, it's funny actually. People leave reviews and they say like, oh, this book is too basic, it's too simple.
Yeah.
I'm like, no fucking shit. Simple is in the fucking subtitle. That's the entire point, is an introduction. But I have resources for you in every chapter so you could go do further reading. Oh, it's a book is too simple. Like that is it's supposed to be too simple. That's like you leave a bad review. Like
it says it on the
didn't
cover.
read the cover. It's on the cover. Anyways.
Some people just want to make themselves out to be more intellectually fucking superior than others for some whatever reason. Makes them feel good. Maybe they have issues where they need to do that just so they feel better about themselves. I don't know, dude. But it's a good book. It's a good read. It's a quick, easy read.
They don't, right. They don't know that actually the way Amazon works is that the more reviews you get, even if it's negative, it helps your book, right? Because when you're
absolutely.
When you're purchasing a book, the main thing people look is the number of reviews rather than the average review, right?
That's right.
So yeah, so people that are leaving shitty reviews, they think that they're hurting, but they're actually helping. So, anyways, by that, leave a review. But if you like the book.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I believe I can go on there and do that. I should actually do that because I think I got it through Amazon.
By the way, another thing that I do is I make the book available for free for people that can't afford it, right? So if anybody, if actually not just people, if you can't afford to buy a book, or if you live in a country where you don't have Amazon, or if you don't have a credit card, or if you're too young to have a credit card and you can't do online shopping, just go to Atheist. Just go to Atheist. Just go to atheistrepublic.com and just send us an email and be like, hey, I can't buy your book, and we'll send you a free PDF copy.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. See, guys, he's a good man at heart, and I know this actually because I've met him in person and hung out with him, and he keeps buying everybody pizza for some reason. But
that's not actually very good, to be honest. Pizza is not healthy.
Yeah, but you guys always get the stuff that's got like chicken on it and stuff, you know, so it's not that big a deal. Besides, if you think about it, pizza's got all 4 food groups in it.
Well, that's not a good thing. Anyways, I'm gonna. It's very. I don't get atheists that don't take care of their health because, especially atheists that smoke. Because I tell atheists that
smoke. You know I smoke, right?
Yeah, I know. I told you. I don't get it. We know that this is the only life we get. What the hell are you doing? Like you get one. We atheists. No, you're not. It's not. It's
hey, you don't smoke. How do you know?
Because my mom died from cancer. It didn't just shorten her life. It was a very bad way that she went as well. So it's not just quantities. Also the quality was fuck. Like this. Like yeah.
Sure. I agree. And my dad, he died from cancer too, but different kind of cancer. But and the world surely missed him when he passed.
Really?
Because I'm referring, of course, to his blood donation totals and stuff like that. So, yeah.
You know, my mom when she was in the hospital, you know, when my mom got cancer, she was still in Iran, and I couldn't go see her because if I went back to Iran, this was after I published my book, after Atheist Republic became such a big deal, and I knew 100% if I go back to Iran, they'll just hang me, right? I knew I 100%, especially because there was this guy, this teacher in Iran, and he told his class that he doesn't think Prophet Jonah? Jonah? Was it Jonah, right? Which prophet
Jonah was the one that went in the whale?
Yeah, Prophet Jonah, right? Yeah. He said that he doesn't think he was really swallowed by a whale. Like, he doesn't think that happened, right? He basically told his class he doesn't think that the Prophet Jonah was, swallowed by a big fish or a whale. And he was executed for saying that in Iran.
Okay? No, I know.
And he didn't say fuck Muhammad. He didn't say I'm an atheist. He didn't say fuck Islam. He didn't say any of that. He said, I don't think Prophet Jonah was swallowed by a fish. Okay, and he was executed. So like, okay, if he was and his son is like, I don't know how old, is 7 now, I think, right? But if he got executed, I wrote a book saying why there's no God, right? I think I'm it's not very safe to go see my mom who has cancer, right? And my mom didn't want
Right.
to die
It's so
without
bad.
seeing me. So she came to Vancouver. They told her that she can't leave the hospital because she has cancer. And she says that she doesn't give a shit. She wanted to come see me before she dies, right? And she left the hospital. She
Yep.
came to Vancouver. And because she left the hospital, she died shortly after, right? But she didn't care. She was happy to be able to see like all her son. She wanted to see everybody before she dies. And I remember the reason why I'm telling you this, and she was buried here in Vancouver, right? But the reason why I tell the story is
told me
because
that at one of the meetups, I believe.
yeah, she. Oh yeah, I told you this. I remember going to the hospital to visit her one day, and she had headphones on, and she was an atheist. I turned her to an atheist. I turned me and her talked a lot, and she became an atheist at some point. But I remember going to a hospital, and I remember her listening to the azan, to the Islamic call to prayer, right? And I come in here, and she was so embarrassed. She turned it off. She was like, "Armin, I know this is bullshit, but it's really helping me with my pain." And I was like, "Oh, Mom, you don't have to. You don't have to be embarrassed. It's okay. Why are you embarrassed of me? I'm your son. It's okay if whatever it takes to help with your pain, just do it. Like, what the hell?" But it was so sad and it was so cute at the same time.
I'll be honest too, Armin. When I lived in Jerusalem, when I was in Jerusalem, you would hear the call to prayer a few times a day, at least that I can remember when I was there and heard it. And it's beautiful music, regardless.
You say that because you didn't grow up with it. A lot of the liberal kids that grew up with it, I know some of them that could not stand hearing.
Run away, run away.
Yeah, but maybe if you're hearing it for the first time, or if you're not growing up with it for 5 times in Sunni countries and 3 times,
it just sounded really cool, I thought.
Yeah. Well, they didn't interrupt your cartoon with the Islamic call to prayer. That's why you like it.
No, they didn't. No, that was usually my dad coming home from work being all pissed off and took it out on me.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, dude, we have gone 2 hours, so this is a 2-hour special edition with Armin Navabi, guys.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you for everybody in the live chat. BD, Randolph, I see you guys.
Randolph. You met Randolph too.
Oh yeah.
He came with me the first time.
Yeah. I think I'm friends with him on Facebook now.
Not Facebook. Twitter.
Oh yeah, no, he mentioned that he's not on Facebook.
Yeah, he permanently barred from Facebook. Vikram's in the audience too.
Vikram is here. What's that count? I don't see Vikram. DRP. I see DRP.
That's David. You've been on his show already, though, haven't you?
I don't know. I don't remember anymore. Atheist Art. Let me see who else.
Well, if you haven't, you should, because David's good people, man.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody else. By the way, if I'm not seeing your messages on Facebook, Vikram is here. Hi, Vikram. I see Vikram. Okay. Hi, Vikram. By the way, if I'm not responding to your Facebook messages or Twitter messages, honestly, it has gotten to a point where it's impossible. Like, I'm not trying to exaggerate. It's humanly impossible now for me to keep track of all my emails, Facebook messages, and Twitter messages. Like, I probably need like even 3 secretaries to even try. Okay. So, seriously,
he's busy.
Yeah. So seriously, if I'm not responding to any messages, there are some people that go through my inbox to just start to see the important stuff, But if I don't miss something, I'm so sorry.
People you recognize, you probably are attracted to right away. Like, because you answered me on both Facebook and Twitter, but you, of course, knew you were not talking about it.
I made a list on my to-do. I have something else. I have a to-do list, Todoist. Mm-hmm. I use it. And there I have a note to actually go, because you told me that you went on a podcast. I have a reminder to actually go and look for the message, right? So that's the only way that I manage to spend time. But honestly, it's really, really hard. I have said to you, I have picked up so many projects that next time I say yes to something, just slap me in the face, okay?
Like, okay, if I'm around, I'll do
like,
it.
No, Armin, no, you already have too much.
You can't. You're busy. But David, you're still in the chat, so get in touch with me, and I'll put you in touch with Armin, and you guys can talk about if you have some time one day to pop on his show.
Let's talk about something else, because I've told my story already. Now,
he's not a single format like I am, so there's plenty of topics you guys can do. No problem.
Cool.
All right.
Sweet. Okay. Good.
Well, dude, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on and hanging out with me.
Yeah. No worries.
You know, we could have done this like at a coffee shop somewhere where the both of us sitting together.
No, it wouldn't work. Actually, this is funny, because even if we're next to, even if you're in the same house with me, this works better, because the microphone and my headsets is just better. Like, so we're in the same city, but it's more convenient to do it like this.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't have to drive anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Just faster.
All right, dude. Thanks again. Whoa, shit! Knocking my mic over here. I haven't even drank any beer. I've been drinking coffee. Maybe that's the problem. Anyway,
that's
thanks
good.
everyone.
That's coffee is healthier than beer.
Yeah, beer in moderation is fine. But
switch to hard liquor from beer.
You mean this stuff?
What is
like
that?
The good Scotch?
Yeah, that's better than beer.
I do. I like it better, but beer's cheap. and summertime, it's cold.
Makes a vodka with club soda. That's healthier.
All right,
and
there
it's
you
cheaper.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, they say, some studies say no amount of alcohol is better for you, but that's fine.
Well, no, it's bad for you, but it's less bad for you.
Yeah.
Less.
Well, moderation.
You can't. Beer is really bad. Seriously, don't do beer.
Makes you fat too. Beer.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in and hanging out with us. I appreciate you guys coming in here and checking stuff out. Armin.
Oh, sorry.
It was a great.
Not John of Witness, blue collar heathen, and another freaking athist.
Another freaking atheist.
Yes.
AFA's a BC boy too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's up in Kamloops.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, like I always say at the end of these conversations that I have with some people, is what the late great Christopher Hitchens always said. Remember, guys, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.